What's up guys, this is Dino here, and today I'll be beginning a brand new What If mini series. This What If mini series will be known as the What If Battle Saga. Now some context behind this. This will be strictly battle based. Now here I will pick any two characters and I will pit them against each other in a full 6-on-6 Pokemon battle where I will try to analyze the outcome of how it's going to be. Now, some things to note here. This won't be like the regular series which I have running in the channel. There won't be a plot, like there won't be some backstory, there won't be any references, anything like that. This is just to have fun, just narrate some cool battles for you guys, and how these two characters came to know each other, how they met on the battlefield, what's the backstory, that is completely up to your interpretation. We are going to pick up from the part where these two characters squared off with each other and now they're going to battle. Now how these battles are going to work is, like, I have picked their two teams which they have throughout the anime and the games, and I have analyzed them thoroughly. I have pitted them against each other in Pokemon Showdown, where I simulated multiple battles between them, and based on those results I will determine the outcome of this battle. And now of course that's not the only thing. I will not be taking references just from the game. There will be references from the anime and just a rough power scale in general. Again, this is not going to be something like too specific, so you don't need to brainstorm yourself into a headache and debate on the power scale, because as we all know, the Pokemon power scale is a bit wanky, right? Like, that's the fact. But I will try to take as much data as possible. I will try to analyze it. I will try to interpret a reasonable result which will be fair to both sides. Like, this is just a multiverse concept in which we are just going to pit two teams against each other. I will narrate the battles. I will introduce cool graphics, GIFs, animations, everything. I will try to make it as fun as possible for you guys to watch, and as close to what an anime battle between these characters is going to look like. Once again, I have taken references from games, auto simulation, statements made in the anime, feats of power shown in the anime. This is not a power scaling video. This is just me taking a brief and rough analysis from the data which is available and interpreting a reasonable and entertaining result. So once again, if you like this video, make sure to go in the comment section and suggest any more battles that you would like to see, and just sit back and enjoy the video. Ash stood on one side of the battlefield, carved out in the thick snow, staring down at his adversary. It was like he was looking into a mirror. The cap, the shirt, everything was so similar to him. But while Ash had the fiery determination and an outspoken personality, Red, quite contrary to his namesake, was as cold as the frozen landscape of Mount Silver. Both champions in their own world, both having completed the underdog story against all odds, facing each other in what promised to be the ultimate generational battle. Ash looked over his shoulder at his trusted partner, Pikachu. The electric mouse jumped onto the battlefield, emitting powerful sparks of lightning, ready to fight. Red looked on as he pulled out a Pokeball from his belt and tossed it forward. It rolled right in front of Ash's Pikachu before unleashing a familiar figure in front of them, another Pikachu. But there was some noticeable differences in the appearance of the two electric mice. Red's Pikachu, whom we'll be calling Pika just for simplicity, appeared to be physically bulkier, with more fur on its body than Ash's. As a result, it was more accustomed to the chilling cold air in Mount Silver. Ash knew this. Red had the field advantage, but that was not going to stop him from pushing through. They were world champions, and that's what champions do. They overcome adversity. Neither trainer was too keen on going for an electric type attack right from the bat. So the battle started with Ash's Pikachu leaping forward with an Iron Tail attack. Ash thought that because of the added fur and bulk, Pika will be much slower, but he was deceived. Pika moved out of the way, causing a large boulder behind him to get shattered underneath the Iron Tail. Ash was surprised, but by no way dwindled on his attacking approach. He ordered Pikachu to jump on top of the shattered boulders with a quick attack, and in a split second, Pikachu zoomed in from one shattered rock to another before the pieces had even hit the ground and slammed right into his adversary, causing decent damage. Red, who was ingrained with the old-fashioned traditional battling style, was caught off guard by this unique approach of creativity, but maintained his composure as him and his Pikachu made eye contact. Ash's Pikachu stayed on the offensive, with a barrage of Iron Tails back to back. But Pika had made the read on the pattern and dodged every single one of them. Eventually, Pika managed to get hold of Ash's Pikachu's tail and slams him straight to the ground. Red was banking on Pika's strength, but just like Ash, he was deceived as well. When Pika tried to slam Pikachu again, he reversed the position and slammed him back. While Ash underestimated Pika's speed, Red had underestimated Pikachu's strength. Red orders Pika to use Brick Break, and Pikachu counters it with an Iron Tail. This goes on for a while, both proving even. While Pika seems to have the upper hand due to being better acclimated to the elevation, Red knows this can switch in the blink of an eye. Both realize they have to go for broke. Ash orders a Thunderbolt as bright yellow sparks of lighting appeared around Pikachu's cheek, and the electricity surges towards Pika. In response, Pikachu charges up a blue surge of electricity around him, and this intercepted the oncoming attack. They clashed as the battlefield became charged up with sparks. The colliding currents caused both attacks to get stronger, but this also resulted in both of them taking a fair bit of recoil from the sparks. Eventually, the attacks charged up more and more before cancelling each other out in a bright flash of light. Both Pokemon showed visible damage from the collision. Ash and Red knew that using an electric type attack against each other was both their best chance to win or their undoing that will result in certain defeat. When the Thunderbolts clashed, their power gets magnified exponentially, but the recoil from the sparks damaged them both. In short, the one who got even a slight edge in the clash would be the winner. They needed to go all in, and Ash knew just how to do that. He tossed his hat as Pikachu jumped and it landed on his head. The bracelet on Ash's hand emitted a bright light which circled around Pikachu. They unleashed their special Z move, 10,000 volts. Red looked on with the same expression that he had maintained throughout the battle. Pika looked back at him and nodded before using a surf attack as a massive wave of water emerged from under his feet and elevated him towards the oncoming Z move. Pika then used a Thunderbolt on the wave of water, causing it to get supercharged into a massive wall of electricity. This attack intercepted the 10,000 volts, and as a result, a deafening noise of thunder cracked throughout the battlefield. Pikachu seemed to have the upper hand initially, but little by little, Pika's wall of electricity seemed to grow bigger and bigger. Pika's surf attack was acting as a lightning rod, absorbing most of the electricity from Pikachu's Z move, but Ash and Pikachu noticed it until it was too late. The wall came crashing down on Pikachu, who got most of the damage from its own Z move. It laid there, knocked out. Pika was breathing heavily, but was far from defeated. Red had just shown some of his own creativity to use Pikachu's Z move against him. Ash went over as he picked Pikachu up, apologizing for not noticing Red's technique. Red took the lead 1-0. Ash tells Red that this battle is far from over, as he sends out his Lucario as the second Pokemon. Ash orders Lucario to use a Bone Rush attack right from the start, as Lucario charges towards Pikachu. Pika was tired due to its intense battle against Pikachu and thus moved in a bit slowly. Red knew that Pika won't be able to dodge Lucario's attack, so he ordered Pika to charge forward with a Thunderbolt. The both attacks collide as Lucario made sure to keep a safe distance between himself and Pikachu, thus preventing the Thunderbolt from reaching him properly. Red, however, had this figured out, as although Pika was tired, its speed had not dwindled to that extent. He ordered a quick attack as Pika leaped forward and charged straight into Lucario's belly, sending it flying backwards. Lucario rallied back with an Aura Sphere attack, which Pikachu countered with a Thunderbolt, resulting in a massive explosion. Red ordered Pika to use a Brick Break attack, but Ash orders Lucario to use one of its secret weapons, Extreme Speed. Lucario easily dodges this attack and charges towards Pika. However, Red orders Pika to use a Flash attack, which temporarily blinds Lucario. But this was something that Ash was not concerned about even in the slightest. He orders Lucario to use its aura energy to sense where Pika is, and Lucario closes its eyes and zooms forward towards Pika. However, Red noticed this way too late, as he ordered Pika to once again charge up the electric wall using Surge. But Lucario had made the read. It leaped forward straight towards Pikachu as he blasted it with a point-blank aura sphere just as it was riding the wave. This caused Pikachu to fall down as the wave collapsed. Ash ordered Lucario to use Bone Rush, and before Pika had even hit the ground, Lucario dashed forward as it hit Pika with the Bone Rush attack, causing super effective damage and enough to knock it out, making the battle even, 1-1 for both sides. Red recalled Pika as he looked over at Lucario and Ash. He knew this was a legit opponent. He needed to take this seriously. Threw out his second Pokeball, which unleashed Blastoise. Blastoise roared at Lucario as its giant cannon pointed towards the Aura Pokemon. Ash knew how tanky a Blastoise could be, as he had experience battling it before, so he decided to preserve Lucario for now, as he recalled it and sent out Surfetch'd as his third Pokemon. Surfetch'd was a bit bordered by the hail, but it looked ready to battle. Ash immediately orders a Fury Cutter attack as Surfetch'd dashes in forward and slashes at Blastoise back to back. Blastoise takes a defensive position by retreating into its shell and tries to use a rapid spin. However, the sheer ferocity with which Surfetch'd was attacking caught Blastoise off guard a bit. Red tells Blastoise to keep it together and orders a Hydro Pump attack. Blastoise kicks at Surfetch'd, who blocks it using the shield. However, Blastoise kicks the shield away as it makes a good amount of distance between itself and the swordsman, and he unleashes Hydro Pump. The water was chilling cold in the heights of Mount Silver as it raced towards Surfetch'd. Ash ordered Surfetch'd to use a Leaf Blade, and this attack cut right through the Hydro Pump of Blastoise as it moved forward and tried to slash Blastoise with the attack. However, Blastoise was one step ahead as it countered it with a Blizzard attack, and unlike Hydro Pump, Surfetch'd was unable to cut through it, so it had to resort to block the Blizzard using its shield. This slowed down his momentum considerably, but yet he managed to get in close and connect with a brutal swing on Blastoise. Blastoise, however, moved a bit back before countering with a Hydro Pump. This sent Surfetch'd flying backwards as Blastoise aimed another Hydro Pump at both of Surfetch'd's hands, knocking out its shield and its sword, leaving it defenseless. Another Blizzard attack left Surfetch'd frozen and knocked out, giving Red the lead yet again. This is when Ash realized just how strong Red really was. He needed to keep the momentum in his side as he realized how important this would be in the later stages of the battle. He immediately sent out his Gengar and went straight into Gigantamax form. Red looked on as Gengar magnified in size more and more before that ominous presence stood in front of him and his Blastoise. This was something that he had yet to see before in a battle. He thought to himself, this was different from Gengar's Mega Evolution. What was this? A lot of questions were going through his mind, but he kept his facade. No one could have thought that Red was a slight bit concerned, judging by his facial expression. He looked just the way that he did as the battle had begun. Blastoise looked back at Red as they both realized what they needed to do. Ash went all out in his offense, utilizing multiple powerful moves which caused major damage to Blastoise, but Blastoise either countered those moves or just retreated into his shell and used a rapid spin. Granted, all these techniques failed in front of Gengar's G-Max moves, but this gave Blastoise a chance to survive for a little longer, just hang on there a little bit more, and this proved to pay the dividend, as after Gengar had fallen out of his Gigantamax form, Blastoise managed to get a good hit in with the Dark Pulse attack, which caught Gengar and Ash off guard. However, Blastoise had reached its limit. A Thunderbolt from Gengar knocked the turtle Pokemon out. Red recalled his Blastoise, and although the score was once again even, Ash knew very well that Blastoise had done more damage than he would have liked it to do. Red sent out his third Pokemon, Venusaur, and this is where Ash began to realize the pattern. Red had all the starter Pokemon of the Kanto region, just like he did when he began his journey, but unlike him, he had made sure to evolve all of his Pokemon into their final stage, except for Pikachu, that is. But there was also another thing. Red was not stating his orders to his Pokemon. It was almost as if they were connected telepathically. Ash knew this battling style. He had faced Annabelle at the Battle Frontier, who used a similar strategy, but it was not just telepathy. Ash realized this. Red was not magically communicating with his Pokemon through his mind. It was just compatibility and trust. Red and his Pokemon were so compatible and had such a good chemistry that Red didn't even need to spew out orders to his Pokemon. Venusaur, Blastoise and Pikachu all knew what they had to do, and this is where Ash realized that the trust that Red had with his Pokemon was something admirable. He told this to Red, who just tipped his hat in approval. The battle between Gengar and Venusaur began. Gengar managed to get quite a few good hits in with Psychic Attack and Shadow Ball. However, Venusaur proved to be much tougher than Gengar, and their Earth Power later, Gengar was knocked out. This came as a huge blow to Ash, as he lost his third Pokemon, while Red had only lost two. And on top of that, Venusaur looked even more dangerous than Blastoise did. He needed to do something really quick. He still had 3 Pokemon in his arsenal. He could send in Dragonite now, but he was worried that the terrain would hamper Dragonite's ability greatly, so he decided to go with his other dragon Pokemon, Dracovish. He banked on Dracovish having the experience in battling against Leon's Rillaboom, so he figured that Dracovish would be able to perform against another fully evolved grass type. The battle began as Venusaur fired off an energy ball towards Dracovish. However, Dracovish used an Ice Fang to crush down the energy ball. Red looked on at Dracovish with curiosity. He had never seen this Pokemon before, but by the looks of it, it had the strong Jaw ability, just like the Mega Sharpedo. He knew he needed to take this battle seriously, as he ordered Venusaur to go on the offensive again, and Venusaur did so. However, one thing that Red noticed was Dracovish was well versed with all of Venusaur moves. Vine Whip, Energy Ball, Sludge Bomb, anything that Venusaur threw its way, Dracovish would either crunch down on it or dodged it effortlessly and land a lot of good hits on Venusaur. The battle raged on, and Dracovish was overpowering Venusaur left and right. Red realized that this was not a battle they could win in a head-to-head power struggle. He needed to catch Dracovish with the element of surprise. He ordered Venusaur to use a Frenzy Plant, as Venusaur used all of its might to send out multiple spiky branches which emitted from the ground and started to slam into Dracovish. Dracovish took some damage initially, but eventually rallied back with Ice Fang as it crushed one vine after the other and started charging towards Venusaur. However, once the vine had cleared, a terrible surprise awaited both Ash and Dracovish. Ash saw the same energy emitting from one of Red's bracelets, just as it had earlier in the battle with his Pikachu. Venusaur, in the guise of Frenzy Plant, had not only bypassed the recharge time, but had also charged up its own Z-move, Bloom Doom. Dracovish was caught completely off guard as the powerful Z-move headed towards him. He tried to bite it down, but the force was too hard. It sent him crashing into the snow and knocked out. Red had taken the lead by 2 points. Ash was down 4 Pokemon. He was left with only 2. While Red, he was just down 2 Pokemon and he was left with 4. This was a nightmarish situation for Ash. He needed to turn this around. He sent out his Dragonite, and by this time Venusaur was way past his limit. So a quick Ice Beam took care of the grass type starter, freezing it and knocking it out. And here Red sent out his 4th Pokemon, which Ash anticipated by now. This was his Charizard, and immediately Ash noticed how much bigger his Charizard was from his own. It looked even bigger than some of the other Charizards that he saw in the Charisific Valley. It had a lot of battle scars and its muscles were very well defined. This Charizard was the real deal. It looked like it had been trained to its fullest potential. This was going to be a tough battle. Ash looked at Dragonite and told him that he needed to give it his 110%. This foe was something out of this world. Dragonite looked back at Ash and then again at Charizard. Even the Dragon type had to admit that it was a slight bit intimidated. But this did not mean that it was going to back down from the battle. Both the Pokemon took flight over the Mount Silver as they clashed mid-air. Dragonite had quite a bit of trouble flying through the hell, but on the other hand Charizard looked like it was in home. It spread its massive wings and almost eclipsed Dragonite under its size, but Dragonite took advantage of this and used some of its quickness against Charizard, outmaneuvering it in some instance but completely failing to overpower it. Ash ordered an ice beam, which Charizard effortlessly dodged. Another ice beam hit Charizard in one of the wings. Ash thought that this would hinder Charizard's flight, but to his horror, he saw that the ice immediately melted away. Charizard was radiating an abnormal amount of heat as it prepared a fire-type attack, or so Ash had thought. Ash ordered Dragonite to charge forward in with a Dragon Rush attack, and to his surprise, Charizard didn't make any attempts to dodge it. Dragonite charged forward and crushed down on Charizard. However, when the smoke had cleared, they saw that Charizard had not only intercepted the attack but also stopped it in its track. It held Dragonite close as it unleashed its own Dragon-type move, a Dragon Tail. This hit Dragonite straight in the head, causing it to crash down, knocked out for good. This left Ash with just one Pokemon, his Lucario, who was at a severe type disadvantage against this monstrous Charizard. Ash looked at it and realized that this Charizard may even be stronger than Leon's Charizard. How the hell is he supposed to defeat it with a type advantage in its home climate, he thought to himself. But then he realized that he didn't become champion by being intimidated from challenges. These are the challenges that he was built to overcome, and now was the time. He looked at his final Pokeball as he sent out his Lucario again. Lucario looked at the Charizard, and to Ash's surprise, he wasn't even intimidated in the slightest. It looked like he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Lucario looked back at Ash, who just nodded. They knew what they had to do, and they were going to do it. It didn't matter that they were down by 3 Pokemon. All that mattered was this moment right now. Them facing an opponent which looked unbeatable, and they were going to beat him. The battle started as the much larger Charizard charged forward at Lucario and tried to use a flamethrower attack. However, Lucario used extreme speed to dodge the attack. Lucario made full use of its speed advantage to land pot shots and hit and run attacks on Charizard. However, soon enough Charizard had figured this out, as it fired off a powerful flamethrower which Lucario was unable to dodge, but instead this time Lucario countered it with an Aura Sphere, which cut through the flamethrower resulted in a massive explosion. Charizard marched forward with a Dragon Tail, and Lucario countered it with a Comet Punch. It was clearly evident that Charizard had the obvious power advantage over Lucario, but Ash had an equalizer up his sleeve. He took out his Mega Stone. As the energy surged around Lucario, it underwent the Mega Evolution into Mega Lucario and started to gain the upper hand on Charizard, landing multiple Comet Punches and extreme speed. However, when it fired an Aura Sphere, but this is when Red revealed his own secret weapon. He pulled out a Mega Stone from his bag, and this caused Charizard to undergo its own Mega Evolution into Mega Charizard Y. It fired off a flamethrower immediately, which cut through the Aura Sphere and landed on Lucario, sending it backwards. This is when Charizard's Drought ability kicked in, as the sun tore through the icy clouds of Mount Silver and shined bright above the battlefield. This battle couldn't have gone any more wrong, Ash thought to himself. But once again Lucario looked back at Ash, as if saying, it's okay, they can still win this battle. They have that move up their sleeve. And Ash nodded. He was sure that he just needed one shot with that attack. He was sure it would be enough to take Charizard down. And so they fought once again, this time in their Mega forms. And once again the story of the battle was same. Lucario with the speed advantage and Charizard with the overwhelming power advantage. But Lucario was displaying a determination which was absolutely unmatched. Even after being hit by lots of flamethrowers, it kept charging forward and landing hits on Charizard. Little by little, it appeared that Lucario was beginning to wear Charizard down, although it didn't have much left in its tank either. Ash knew they only had energy for one move, and they were going to make it big. He ordered Lucario to pull all of its energy into that one final move, the giant Aura Sphere. Lucario became shrouded in a bright blue aura as its eyes started to glow in a bright blue light as well. It charged up an Aura Sphere, but it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it was ready. Ash ordered Lucario to launch the giant Aura Sphere towards Charizard. Red looked on in amazement. He thought to himself, this trainer was something special, but he was not going to lose now. He also had a special move up his sleeve, as he ordered Charizard to use Blast 1, as Charizard launched the ultimate fire attack, which resulted in a huge flurry of flames erupting towards the giant Aura Sphere. The two super attacks collided in the center of the field, both Pokemon trying their best to overpower the other, and all it did was result in a massive explosion which leveled the entire battlefield. Smoke covered the area as large amount of ice and glaciers started melting around them due to the sheer heat of the attacks. And when the dust had settled, to Ash's horror, he looked at Lucario. It had fallen out of his mega form, flame all around it, as it lay there, defeated, and Charizard soared over the battlefield. This signaled the end of the battle. All of Ash's 6 Pokemon had been knocked out, while on the other hand, Red had only lost half his team. And he just showed us that even though he became the champion, there were still levels to this game. Ash immediately went to check on Lucario as it had suffered some minor burns due to the attack. He apologized to Lucario by saying that he let him down, and Lucario let out a weak smile as if telling Ash it's okay. He recalled Lucario as he looked at Red. Red tipped his hat to Ash in respect before turning to leave. Ash called out his name before telling him that they will meet again, and the next time he will make sure to bring along a special friend. And guys, that's where I'll be ending this part. Sorry if I stuttered a bit throughout the battle, because I narrated it straight from the fly. I didn't have a long script written for this because I was trying to make this a bit more fun and bit more bit more natural. So I hope you guys like this part, and once again, if there are any more battles that you'd like me to make or narrate, just make sure to drop them in the comment section, and if possible, please specify which Pokemon or which team would you like to see in particular. For example, if you would like to see let's just say Fall versus any other character, so make sure to give me some suggestions, like which Pokemon would you like to see. For example, right now he has Metagross and Garchomp, so you can say that Metagross, Garchomp and Drapion or something like that. And make sure to let me know what did you think of this battle, and how do you think the rematch between Ash and Red will go. So stay tuned. The next video will be the part 2 of What If Ash Was a Bird Keeper, which will be out in a few days. So stay tuned for that. Stay safe and God bless.